Hello, Care Bearers. If you're new to my YouTube channel, that is what I normally call anybody. I say everybody on my channel because I love Care Bears. So, I'm Farah Diaz. This video is going to be talking about diversity in classrooms. It is an assignment for one of my classes, so I will be recording it for my teacher, and I will be discussing different diversity methods, and I will focus on a certain class, and I will talk about it, and I will explain in details if this class is on the right level of diversity or if it's not. I'm going to rate each one of these topics on a 1 through 10 scale. And then at the end of each of the topics, I would explain how would I, when I become a future teacher, if I was teaching this class, would make this subject a little bit more diverse for other students. Okay. Okay. So first, the class I will be talking about is Psych 100 class. It's a college course class. It's a required class for teachers or for future teachers. It is a freshman course class that you will take your freshman year if you become a teacher. So the class I took was very teacher-centered. If you know what teacher-centered means, that means you basically sit there and you listen to the teacher. It evolves around the teacher fields. And it's very little student-based stuff. Psych 100 is a basic class, so you learn a little bit of everything in all the psych fields. You learn the basics of them, so like the structures, where they started and what's happening now. You don't get into so much details and about it, so it's mostly names and dates. In this class, it was very lecture based, and you have to read from a textbook, and it was very self-learned. This is how this class was run. It was run by a male teacher, and he was middle-aged and white. So I'm going to describe how he set up his classroom, and I'm going to rate it on a 1 to 10 scale, if diversity or not diverse. And I will discuss the topics, and I will explain a little bit of the topic, and like I said, how would I fix it? Okay, so the first thing we will check for diversity in this class is the purpose and the goal of this class. So I rate this class on a 1 to 10 scale on purpose and goal a 2. That is low on a 1 to 10 scale, but here is why. A purpose and goal, the definition that makes it uninclusive for diversity is its goal is to aim for students to gain just knowledge and skills and attitude of just the mainstream stuff. If it was more inclusive, it would talk about diversity statuses and necessary ways to participate in this class instead of just knowledge of what it is. So my example for this is based off of the class is very lectured and textbook based. One of the first things we find out in our class and in our syllabus, it says facts only. So yes, it is a psych class, and you would expect things to be based on facts. But I rated it a 2 because it's only a lecture-based and textbook class. And that just gives you basic knowledge and doesn't really get in depth. Even if it is a basic class level and you only learn basic stuff of this section, you still get in depth. You should be in depth in it and understand and see from different point of views. But in this class, we did not. That brings me to the way I would fix this as a teacher. If I was teaching this class, I think, yes, I would keep this class as a teacher-based class because it is a psych class and you're learning about different things in psych, but I would also have it a little bit interactions for students. I would sit there and have them do projects that's based off of this or something more hands-on to show that the students are actually learning the knowledge they need and understanding, not just listening. Now the next topic we will discuss is contact. Course contact includes the subject matter covered, the way it's ordered, and the material used to present it. So that's like basic contact. I would say for contact in this class, I would give it a 5 on my diversity and curriculum scale. It wasn't straight bad contact, and it wasn't completely diverse, but it was not diverse. So good contacts, includes talking about non-traditional stuff, not just diversity stuff. Talking about alternative perspectives and looking more into other people's things and multicultural groups and not just one thing, one set of race or one set of gender. It looks at all from different perspectives. Like I said, I rated this a 5 because this class course really focused on just the traditional stuff. It was very, okay, today's lesson is children development. They go through this, and this. That's it. And it didn't talk about how there's different children who like sickly children, how their development can change, be a little bit different. Like it is basic stuff, but these are a little bit more in depth of the basic stuff. It doesn't talk about we didn't talk about in this class how different races can have a different development socially, a different development mentally. We didn't talk about this stuff. This stuff wasn't made a light. And then there wasn't alternate perspectives of like if we were told a fact that was 5-to-6 ratio of like boys do develop this way and a 2-to-3 that girls would develop a different way. We didn't really talk about what development and what's the difference. It's just that's what it is. And we want to talk about why. It's just that's your number. That's what you need to learn. That's it. That's why I give it a 5 because it does give you the knowledge of the basic stuff you need to learn, and it was diverse because it did talk about other stuff, but it wasn't super diverse because it did not look at other perspectives. The way I would fix this a little bit if I was a teacher of this course would be I would try to look at other perspectives. I would try to ask my students, do you agree? Do you disagree with this fact that has been given? Why? Why not? And I would try to analyze. I would try to have the class help analyze or even realize if there was a difference between the race in the class that says one thing versus the other, or just the gender differences that are saying stuff. I would look at these stuff and try to and take these perspectives into account as I teach the class. because not one answer is correct. Just because it's facts does not mean it's completely correct. Not they don't facts are not everyone. Everyone has different experiences and different stuff, and I will take that into account. Something this teacher in this class was not taking into account when he was teaching this lecture. My next topic is foundations and perspectives. So, the definition for foundations and perspectives in this one is the background characteristics of students and faculty's affect understanding of events, issues, and concepts. So, and this would include theories and how different humans influence each other's course topics. Um, so, rating this on a 1 to 10 scale, I would say this course was at a 6. I would give this a 6. The reason I give this 6 is because it was very heavy on theory base and explained the differences in the theories, but it did not explain the differences in human influences on these theories completely. It really focused on a lot of um, theories that are one-sided based. It did not talk about theories of being a different race, a different gender, having a different mindset, having a different ability. It only focused on that, just what this class would classify as the normal. And I say that's with quotes because what is normal? Um, if then I also give it a 6 because if you went against this teacher's fact that he had pulled up for you on his PowerPoints, there was a problem. Your grade would drop. And no no classroom should be formed in that type of way. If you had a struggle at home, I knew two students, anonymously, of course, and they was having problems at home. One student had a lot of siblings they had to take care of, and another student had sickly people in their household that they were taking care of. So they were having a hard time keeping up with the class a little. And when they asked for help and like a little bit more of understanding, what they got in return was read your textbook and read the theory of the textbook, and you will understand. Or they would even get hit with some psych stuff like, oh, well, statistically, you can get through it. And that was not something that should be done in the class. I was his teacher, and I would make sure I have a one-on-one on all my students first, so I can understand where they're at and their perspectives of things, so I can understand how to help them. If a student is living in a household where domestic violence is something they're seeing, yes, they're gonna have a hard time doing work. So I would understand and I would find a way to help them or make assignments that they can do by still hitting all the points they need to get their grade, not making favoritisms or anything like that, but making sure the students can get every point they need on their grade and they need to succeed, just maybe in a different method, in a different way, formatted to help them. My next topic is learners. So basically, that's us, the students. In a non exclusive classroom, students' characteristics as race, gender, class, skill level, development needs are not taken into account. So, this class, I would say, for being diverse in this class on this level is a 1. Students in this class were having a very hard time because the teacher was not taking things like this into account. Speaking from personal experience in this class, being dyslexic was not easy in this class. Having dyslexia was hard. Having to read those textbooks, chapters in a textbook is about 15 to 30 pages to read for one chapter. It is hard for this, and you have to read it by one day because the next day you have class again. Students, people having dyslexia was hard for me for that class because I could not read the textbook and understand what I was reading, and seeing letters flow and stuff would get you frustrated and you don't want to do the assignment anymore because you're not understanding. So then you would think, why not try the PowerPoints that he puts up? I have tried the PowerPoints. The PowerPoints were not very useful either because his PowerPoints were just directly stuff written in a textbook. And it did not help the students whatsoever because if you don't understand the textbook and you're writing a PowerPoint, just basically the text, you take copying and pasting the textbook, you're still not going to understand anything. And so I give it a 1 because of that. I was a teacher in the classroom. What I would say is I would take into account development needs and students' skills. Not all students are lecture-based students. Some students have to have hands-on activities to understand. Some students need a little one-on-one talk. Some students need a little extra help. You have to be a teacher to take that into consideration. Sorry. You have to take that into consideration. And I would do my best. Some students don't have access to even have the textbook. So the PowerPoint, yeah, it's a good thing. But if it's just like the textbook, is it really telling you what students have, what's helping you understand where the students are academically, or even if they have the money for a textbook? And then, so if I was a teacher in this course, I would buy 2 textbooks. One, I would put into the school library because a lot of the school teachers put a book in the library so students can take the book out and read the textbooks. And the other one will be in my office. So if a student doesn't have a textbook and they need to look at the assignment, they can come to my office during office hours and they can read the assignment. And I will sit there and I'll be able to help them discuss anything or understand the book. So the students can have that hands-to-hands learning. You can have that lecture note-taking learning. And there's a little bit of skill for everybody there. Now, our next topic is the instructor themselves. So the definition for this is an instructor will basically put their own ideas and biases and values into how that classroom operates. That's a not diverse definition of this. A diverse definition is that they will take the ideas, biases, and values of all different type of things, from race to gender to class skills to development levels to the littlest things, gender, and put that into the classroom. So I would like to point out this teacher gets a 1 for diversity in this because they were very inexclusive in this classroom. It was their ideas, their base. This teacher was a white middle-aged male, I mentioned in the beginning, and when he would make facts or opinions about something, he would favor his race. He would say that they had a higher thing. And when you would question, what about this? He would say no. He would not accept your opinion. And one of the first things we learn in this class, and it's on our syllabus, is your opinion in this class does not matter. And for a teacher to tell a student that their opinion does not matter, it's very wrong, because everybody's opinion in this world matters. It's one of our rights. Like, we got the freedom of speech. That means our opinion does matter at some points. So he also had, this instructor was also a man. So in the classroom, if you was a male in his classroom, you had a little bit more favoritism from him than a female in the classroom. He would look at you and he gives you a little bit more credit. He'll call on you first. Even if you got the answer wrong, he wouldn't sit there and like all the other kids and point out your answers are wrong. He would, oh, good try, and then nicely try to explain it. For females, he did not do that in this classroom. The instructor was very biased when it came to females, and he would say very ignorant stuff to females about how they should be learning. He wouldn't take into account their going on with them, their perspectives of things. If any fact that he would bring up that females were high in, he would end up bringing his opinion in the class and says, even though this doesn't seem right, this is what some statistics will say. But in the beginning of this class, you told us that opinions don't matter. So how is it fair for your opinion to matter, but the females in your class opinions doesn't matter? This is why this class gets a 1 on the scale. This was my class. All opinions matter. Yes, it is a facts-based class. And if you can back up your opinion with facts, that's even better. And so I will try to base my class around that. This is a facts class. Yes, this is psych. A lot of facts and statistics are in this class. But your opinion does matter. You just need to make sure you have the facts to back up this opinion so we can talk about it. Yes, I might have some incorrect facts. Or maybe your facts is just you got facts from something else that I didn't even look at or consider. And that is how a classroom should be. An instructor should think about everybody's opinion and point of views on something and how that should work. And being a psych teacher, not one fact is correct. There's a lot of different views and studies on facts that changes throughout the years. So if one of your students can back up their opinion about something with the facts, then that means you're teaching your class correctly and you're having your students engaged and that you're actually doing something that your students need. Okay, we're almost done. So our next topic is classroom environment. So a non-diverse classroom environment would include how the space is taken into account. How's the classroom being used? How's the course being experienced in this classroom? So I give this a 5 just because this class is very teacher-based, and that there's a lot of people may not be okay with a teacher-based class, but some people do like a teacher-based class. Some students need that. Some students like straight lectures and notes. So I gave it a 5 because yes, it did take one set of students into account. But what about the others? It does not. It's also, I give it a 5. I don't put it high on the scale because in this classroom, if you were wrong about an answer, you will be told in front of the whole class you are wrong. And that will make the classroom environment very paranoid or scared. So it causes students not to want to answer questions, not to even ask questions, not to want to participate or communicate in the classroom because they fear that they're wrong because and that you're going to point it out to everybody how wrong they are. Um, an example of how this happens a lot in the class is test grades. When we take tests in this class, our test scores get shouted out to everybody. And if it's a bad score, he will degrade you and tell you maybe if you stop being on your phone, if you pay more mind in class and stop hanging out with your friends, you could do better. You don't know if that's what's wrong with the student. You don't know that student was hanging out with their friends. You don't know if that student even has a phone to be on. And saying that to a student in general is really horrible. So I give it a 5 just because it is great for learning based and lecture based students because it's teacher based, but everything else was bad in this. If I was a teacher for class environment, the way I would fix it in this class would be I would keep this class a teacher based class, yes. But I would not sit here and shout out the grades and if you're right or like I will tell you yes or no, but I will not make you feel less than yourself because you didn't get something right. Um, I would try and figure out ways to put in a little hands-on like learning. So like I would have the kids do an activity and probably post it around the classroom and have people anonymously and you go around we talk about it. Or I'll do videos once in a while for students who need visual understanding and not just lectural. Um or even pairing kids up to discuss or do like the reading assignment together. Something simple like that can change the environment of a classroom really big. So assessments and evaluations in this classroom. So that's basically how the teacher is set like sees where you're at. That's where you're able to tell if you're passing, you're failing. Um I would give this a 5. The reason I give this one a 5 in this classroom is because when it came to quizzes and tests, the evaluation was actually good. You had 3 chances to do quizzes and your test was just the quizzes up into that test. So you can relook at your quizzes over and over to study for your test. Doesn't mean you understand all the time why that's the right answer, but you know the answer. So you have a good chance of getting a good grade on your test. And you have a good chance. You got 3 chances to up your score in a quiz, giving you a good chance to get a better grade in class. Now, the bad part of this class was every day in the beginning of class, you get called. Some random kids will get called on, and you have 3 seconds to answer his question based on the textbook. If you did not answer these questions in 3 seconds, you get a 0 for participation. And zeros bring your grade down. So no matter how good your test scores are, having zeros in participation and stuff like that was not good. And it wasn't about zero participation for that just one subject. It's 0 participation for the whole class. So if you did participate in class, it doesn't matter. So why would a student want to participate in class? As a teacher, I don't think I would want to call on my students randomly to see if they're reading. I would do maybe a 1 to 2 question pop quiz. Pass out. You got 2 minutes to answer these 2 questions. Or have a class discussion. What did you not understand? What did you understand? I would engage the students to see where they're reading at. I do agree with the testing, but I would put more of a, if you got something wrong, bring it to the class so I can bring it to me so we can discuss and you can understand why this is your right answer. So when you take your test, you know your right answers instead of just memorizing what letter you for each. Now, the last thing we will analyze for diversity in this classroom is the adjustment. Was the teacher able to adjust the class to its students' needs and help make the class better and pretty much make the class better? I give this a 2. Throughout the whole semester, this class did not get adjusted for the students' needs, not once. The only time it did get adjusted was when he was absent. The teacher would be absent for 3 weeks. We took a test. The test grades came out back amazing because the person who graded them did not grade them correctly. He gave us a second opportunity to take this, and this caused us to not complete the whole curriculum, causing that test to be our last test, and he curved it due to this. That was the only adjustment the teacher has given in this class. Everything else, from having a little extra credit assignments to having an extension on an essay, was all not okay. Everything was denied. Handing that thing 2 minutes late, denied. Handed in with anything wrong, denied. You did not get an opportunity to fix your stuff. You didn't get an opportunity to make things better. The only thing that got made better was your quizzes. And that was the thing he was doing in the beginning. He did not adjust that to the students' needs. He did that in the beginning because that's what he felt he wanted to do. If I was a teacher, I would adjust to what I think my students need. If my students need to focus on one subject more than the other in this class and they're struggling, then yes, I would be a little more flexible. If my students need some type of extra extension, depending on the circumstances, yes, you will get your extra extension. Now, it still has to be turned in. And if I'm giving you an extra extension, I expect a little bit more highly report or essay that you're handing in. And if I notice my students are way more hands-on learning, that's what I would do. I would adjust my lessons to be more hands-on for my students. Now, I mentioned in the beginning, this is a freshman course class. Being a freshman is not easy. You're just adjusting to a whole new environment, whole new way of learning. You have to adjust your lessons to these sets of freshmen. No freshmen are the same. Every year you'll get a new set of freshmen that learn differently, act differently, different races, different ways they behave. You have to adjust your class this way. And I would, depending on how my class is what I would do. Well, that is every topic. And overall, for diversity in this class, I would say it is a 4. Yes, there were some things that were great. That was good. Nothing in this class was great. Because every class, even though it can be at a 10, could still be improved a little bit more. So this class, I will give a 4 altogether overall as a diversity rating. I hope whoever watches this video take a second and think about one of your classes and see how does it fall on any of these scales. See if your class is diverse. And if it's not, speak up. Say something about it. Try to make your class diverse. And if you're a teacher watching this, think about the classes you're teaching and if your class is diverse enough. Well, it was nice talking to you, Care Bearers, and I will see y'all soon. Bye-bye.